Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm just doing some food prep. I need to feed the geckos. I'm going away for a couple of days, so I just thought give them a quick feed now. And then while I was down there, I thought it's a topic I want to talk about. I'm not going to talk about it in much detail today, but gecko diet. So I've got many thoughts on this, and it all stems from one trend I'm seeing online, and that is overweight geckos. So for me, overweight geckos are a big concern, right? Because if we are creating geckos that are fat, we're also potentially bringing in unseen issues with geckos. So they may have fatty livers, fat kidneys, their production may be down. Anyway, a whole list of things that we are basically creating because we're keeping our geckos overweight. What do I think the problem is? And this is purely my opinion. I think it's diet, but we'll touch on that a little bit in a minute. So that's where I'm going with today's video. It's not going to be a mega long video. It's just something I wanted to get off my chest while I'm down there and I'm pottering around. So today's feed is predominantly gecko diet. I've literally just stood there and said gecko diet. Oh, I think it's a concern, but at the moment it's what we have, right? So I generally feed in threes. So I feed gecko diet and they'll get that, and then I'll remove it 3 days later, then they'll get live, then they'll get that. Once that's gone, then I'll replace it with some more food. I say replace, right? Live food, I stick loads of live food in. I think that live should be readily available for the geckos. So if you go in any one of these tanks, you'll probably find crickets. There'll be a few dubia roaches kicking around. There's isopods in there. But I'll come back to that in a minute. So, gecko diet. How am I feeding it? Well, I feed it in two ways. First of all, I feed straight gecko diet because feeding response, right? So I get different feeding responses from different geckos. Not all the geckos are the same. Some you'll put live food in there and they're on it like absolute animals. Some you'll put diet in and they're on it. You know, so you've got to play it to your geckos, right? So a big part of this is understanding your individual animals. So diet, I keep all my diet in a tub like this, and all I do is I buy different brands at different times and I just mix it up, right? I run it down and then I'll buy several different brands, mix it up and then go again. Now, to ensure that I'm getting more protein, and I am a big believer that these geckos need protein, I will mix in things like dried insects, black soldier fly larvae, and I just blend that up with things like bee pollen, which is just straight bee pollen. And then if I'm feeding that mixture, I'll also add in extra calcium, vitamin D, and I basically mix all of that up in a pot, and then I'll give them some of that. And this is exactly the same as I dust all live food with. If I'm feeding straight diet, I generally don't do that. I may sprinkle a bit on there for the chihuahuas, but for the gargs, I generally don't. So that's what they're getting today, is that blend of diet, extra protein, bee pollen, and some extra calcium. So my problem with diet is each brand has got some negatives, and it's all really aimed at the biggest consumer of diet, which is Cresties. So that's not to say it doesn't work for gargoyles. That's saying that it's aimed at a different animal. So we've got to make adjustments for the animals we keep. So for me, adding more protein. There is no part of gargoyle gecko that screams to me that these animals are just sat licking sap from trees or on the ground eating rotting fruit. Now, that's not to say that isn't making up some of their diet, but when you look at a gargoyle gecko, you look at its structure, its head structure, it's a predator. And the way that they go after live food tells me it's a predator. And there's a shift in the hobby that says that for years we've gone, oh, you don't need to feed these animals live, be it cresties or gargoyles or chua, or you can just feed it diet. And the reality is you really can't. These animals need live food. And in the wild, in their stomach content, they're finding things like geckos and snails and things like that. So there's a lot makes up their diet. And I can't help but think that some of the content is there through mistake, through passive transfer, through eating bugs that are eating the fruit. Although gargoyle geckos, crested geckos, have been observed eating fruit and sap in the wild. So it does make up some sort of part of their diet, and they probably eat it quite readily when it's available. But I truly think these geckos are predators. One of the things that we suffer from is calcium deficiency, calcium crashes and stuff like that. Now, in the wild, they're not getting that added calcium from the fruits that they're eating. They're getting it from the bugs that they're eating. They're getting it from the fact that they're eating other geckos and things like that. That is making up that calcium crash, or avoiding that calcium crash in their natural environment. Now, like I talked about overweight geckos. A gecko should be lean, it should be muscular, it should be a powerful animal, it should have definition, you should be able to see its muscle structure. It shouldn't be a big fat animal with fat rolls. That's not how it should be. That's not a healthy animal. And like giving your animals periods of no food is a healthy way to keep your geckos. That's not me saying starve your geckos. What I'm saying is skipping meals and giving them starvation period is good for all animals. Even like your pet dog, if you feed a good raw diet and give it starvation days, you will get a healthier dog. Again, I'm not advocating starve your animals to death. What I'm saying is give them a lean period of a couple of days to fully digest the meals in their system. I practice this at least once every 3 weeks, where I just skip a meal, and then that gives them a chance to completely digest. I'm not feeding predominantly diet. There's live food readily available, so the geckos are moving, they're hunting, they're doing all these natural things to keep them lean and not overweight. So that's just a bit about how I keep and feed my geckos, and I would really want to dig deeper into diet and how the geckos respond to different diets and things, and what the diets are made up of. And I know there's loads of other people doing this as well. But for me, again, looking at a gargoyle gecko, seeing its feeding response, seeing its poses, how it's resting, all leads me to believe these are predatory animals. So up the protein is my say. So that's where we are. We're going to get on and feed these geckos now. We did a live on Instagram the other day. It was a really good Q&A session. If you're not following us on Instagram, please go there, check us out. And we'll start doing a few more lives. We want to get your feedback. We want to get your questions. We want to be able to help the community. This is a gargoyle gecko, predominantly gargoyle gecko channel. So if you are an avid gargoyle gecko keeper and you have burning questions, send them my way. I'll go do the research. I'll come back. I'll try and give you the answers. We'll bang up some lives on Instagram, do a bit of Q&A, so that we can get some of that real time, and then hopefully we can get through some good information and then put it together and then build a good source of information for new people coming into the hobby. I think gargoyle geckos are a massively unappreciative member of the New Caledonian geckos, and most of them are just tag-alongs for cresty keepers. So I want to try and change that narrative that gargoyle geckos in their own right are a phenomenal gecko to keep, but I can't do that without your help. So um, definitely send me questions, send me places you want me to look into in terms of keeping, and I'll do the legwork, and hopefully we could build that resource up. And apart from that, enjoy your geckos, have a great day, and a happy Easter. I'll see you all on the other side. Cheers.